Women in the 16th to 17th century faced the lethal threat of being accused of witchcraft. The concept of witchcraft originated from the religious belief in magic and superstition. Factors that contributed to the rise of witchcraft persecution included the influence of perceived magic within clerical circles and the popularity of communication with the dead among learned men. Political and social unrest only heightened fear of witches, as evident by the surge in witchcraft persecution during the Western Schism of the Popes.
80% of those accused of witchcraft were women, mainly poor widows, spinsters, and the elderly. In southwestern Germany, 82% of those accused were women, where in Switzerland and in parts of France, 78% of those accused were women. Torture was a standard procedure of interrogations, and only one half were spared from execution. The imbalanced persecution of women versus men was caused by the belief that women were inferior, and they were described as having an inability to control their passions and as sexual slaves to the devil. This opinion was made popular due to handbooks on witch hunting. Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches, was published by the Catholic Inquisition during the 15th century and states, "It should be noted that there are a defect in the formation of the first woman, since she was born from a bent rib, which is bent as if it were contrary direction to men. And since through this defect she is an imperfect animal, she always deceives." In France alone, 345 booklets on witchcraft were published between 1550 and 1650, during a time in which witch trials peaked.
In the 16th century, witchcraft was officially persecuted by state and religious authorities. Economic troubles, plague, warfare, and religious strife increased the number of witchcraft accusations as people sought an explanation and scapegoat for the uncertainty and conflict. Germany, the main battleground of the brutal 30 Years' War, saw the greatest number of women persecuted as witches. Areas in which the wars of religious reformations occurred saw a large number of executions as well. Of the 100,000 people accused of witchcraft during the 16th and 17th century, it is estimated that 80% were women and one-third were killed.
In Germany, an accused witch stated, "Innocent have I come into prison, innocent have I been tortured, innocent I must die." In Trier, Germany, a city official reflects upon the ways in which the witch hunt impacted the community. He says, "The whole country rose to exterminate the witches. It was promoted by many in office, who hoped wealth from the persecution. And so, from court to court throughout the towns and villages, scurried special accusers and inquisitors dragging to trial and torture human beings."
Religion encouraged the belief in witchcraft. Martin Luther, leader of the Protestant Reformation, stated, "Sorcerers or witches are the devil's whores who raise storms, ride on goats or broomsticks. The devil is unable to do these things by himself without human help." Even during the scientific revolution, the belief in magic was sustained, and the persecution of women as witches prevailed. While artists, political thinkers, and scientists became more secular, people remained very religious.
It wasn't until the attitudes of the elites changed that witchcraft subsided. The elite physicians, lawyers, and clergy members began to distance themselves from the popular, common man's belief of witches. The laypeople began to emulate this attitude. In 1640, France arrested witch hunters and released suspected witches. In 1682, a royal decree stated that witchcraft was officially fraud and imposture. This prevented anyone from being recognized as a witch. In 1693, the Salem jurors of Massachusetts recanted, confessing that they were mistaken. In the case of the Salem jurors, they did not let go of their belief in witches, but rather they lost confidence in their ability to identify them. The persecution of these women as witches rose from popular superstitions, religious beliefs, the desire for security in troubling times, and as a means to improve social and economic status.